Hey, how you doing? My name is Ryan, and today I'm picking the best LEGO Marvel minifigure from each MCU movie and short in the Infinity Saga, including crowning a best in each phase. Now, the rules here are simple. A figure does not need to come from any film-specific set, but must be the same look as the film character in question. Now, next week we'll tackle the Multiverse Saga, but for now, let's get started with Phase 1 and Film 1, Iron Man. Now, there are some good figures here, like Obadiah Stane, Pepper Potts, and Nick Fury. Those are fine, but nowhere near as good as the Iron Man Mark III suit, the original that is, with the older style helmet, as I firmly believe the newer Iron Man suits look better with the newer helmet design, the slimmer version, and the older suits look better with the older helmet design. And while this Mark III suit is good, it's not my number one pick. That goes to the Iron Man Mark I set. I love how layered and worn down and textured this suit feels. The bits of dark tan on the gray look fantastic here, and this is a figure that uses the non-opening Iron Man helmet to its advantage. It feels older, scrappier, and just like the Iron Man Mark I suit. But what about our next movie, The Incredible Hulk from 2008? Now, we don't really have any sets or figures that come directly from that Incredible Hulk movie. I did make my own custom poly bag, but I can't really count that. However, I do think the Hulk Big Fig from the first wave of Avengers sets has a closer appearance to the Edward Norton Hulk than the Mark Ruffalo Hulk, so I will count this Hulk Big Fig as the best for the Incredible Hulk movie. I don't think we'll ever see any sets based on that film directly because of the rights issues with Universal, but at least we have some figures that look kind of close to that character. Moving on to Iron Man 2, we have some good figures here like the War Machine Mark I, Nick Fury, and you could argue the Black Widow from the Avengers movie looks closer in costume to her Iron Man 2 look than her Avengers look. I would love to put Justin Hammer here, but I can't count this figure because the costume this Justin Hammer figure wears is not the same as the one he wears in the movie. It looks rather different. Well, it's a robot suit, and he wears an actual suit in the film. However, none of these figures hold a candle to Whiplash. This is an incredible figure design, and LEGO at this point has nailed the aesthetic of any Iron Man suit, but the real star here is the face. It's a one-off, exclusive face to Whiplash, and it looks so close to the character. If LEGO ever decides to make an Iron Man 2 set based on the racetrack battle, I hope they reuse this face. It's that good. But what about our next movie, Thor? Well, like the Incredible Hulk, we don't really have any sets based directly on Thor 1, but unlike Hulk, there are plenty of characters and figures that wear similar costumes in other sets, like Thor himself from the Mjolnir set, or Hawkeye, or you could even argue Eric Selvig, but I think the best figure here is Loki. The costume he wears in the Avengers is close enough to the Thor look that I'm gonna count it. And this is just a great figure overall, a great remake of the original 2012 look, with some nice layering in the torso, a great flow from torso to legs, a sinister looking face, and a great helmet mold. With Loki already appearing in the Avengers sets, I don't think we'll ever get sets based on Thor 1, unless they want to make like an Odin or Heimdall figure. That would be quite nice. Moving on to our next film, it's Captain America, the First Avenger, and there are really only two choices here. Red Skull, which, no, not really, he's not the best. Or Captain America in his World War II outfit from the Marvel logo set. This is another great torso design, and as someone who has built this costume for Halloween, it is so great to see finally in minifigure form, easily making Captain America the best figure from his film. But now we move on to the Avengers in 2012, the first MCU movie to get a dedicated wave of sets, and that means our figure selection is a lot larger here. We have the Chitauri, Captain America again, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Hulk remake with his smile print, but my pick for the best minifigure from the Avengers is the Mark VI damage suit from the Avengers Tower set. There's a reason this figure was put behind a $500 paywall. It is so cool to see a damaged Iron Man suit with bits of silver exposed underneath the dark red armor. The balance of damage and armor is so clean and so nice, it is easy to take in this entire figure from one look. And that's an incredible feat from the designers. Not only do I think the Iron Man Mark VI damage suit is the best figure from its respective film, I think it's the best figure from all of Phase 1. It's that good. Moving on to Phase 2, our first movie is Iron Man 3, and thankfully, we just got a brand new Iron Man 3 set. But will the best figure come from it? Well, let's go over our Iron Man 3 options first. I think the figures in contention are the Mandarin in his full garb, not the sleeveless version, Pepper Potts in her white jacket, not her remake, the new version of Aldrich Killian, this Extremis soldier, and a slew of Iron Man suits, including some suits I initially didn't count as MCU suits, like Blazer and Taser. But I think the best figure from Iron Man 3 is the Iron Patriot. I'm going to pick the remake figure, although the original is certainly a close runner-up. The balance of color and detail is wonderful here. The new mask I think looks really slick. The Iron Patriot is one of those rare figures where the original was really good, and the remake is just that much better. Now, what about Thor: The Dark World? Even though we've never had a set from this movie, we do have one figure that I think counts, because the character in question wears the exact same outfit in the figure as he does in the movie. Unfortunately, it's probably the most expensive figure on this list. My pick is the collector figure, the Comic-Con exclusive. This character appeared in the post-credit scene of Thor: The Dark World and made his LEGO debut at the convention as a raffle giveaway. As MCU figures go, it's almost a little bit funny that back in 2014, this was a lot of detail for the torso with all this patterning on it, but nowadays, it's kind of standard practice. Either way, solid figure, incredible face print, and the best of Thor: The Dark World. But what about Captain America and the Winter Soldier? Even though there were no sets that were branded as the Winter Soldier, there were a couple that were adjacent to the movie. Like the Helicarrier, for example, which includes Maria Hill, Nick Fury, and Captain America without a helmet. We also have the Avengers Tower set, which include Director Pierce, as well as customs that I made of Agent Sitwell and Agent Rumlow. But obviously, I'm not going to put customs in the running. So what's my pick for the best figure? I think it's the Winter Soldier from his polybag. This is the only version of the character we have with the mask, and I think it looks clean and also intimidating. While the design on the torso and legs is rather simple, the overall presence of this character is exactly what the figure should be. Next up is Guardians of the Galaxy, and for the first time on this list, really any of the main characters could be considered the best figure of this film. Aside from Nebula, all the Guardians are fantastic, from Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket, with either their original or their remake figures. That being said, I think Ronan the Accuser, the original version, is the best figure from Guardians. That exclusive helmet mold is perfection, and it really adds to the silhouette of the character, making him feel larger than life and imposing. The dark print on the torso I think works rather well, with the little pops of dark red adding enough negative space to balance out the overly detailed torso. While the remake of Ronan does look rather nice, it cannot hold a candle in my opinion to the original Ronan figure. Next up is Avengers Age of Ultron, and in the running for best figure I think are Quicksilver, the original or the remake of Hulk, the Hawkeye remake, the Vision remake, and the original Vision. And while all those are good figures, my pick hasn't been released yet, and that's the Ultron remake from summer 2025. This is an incredibly detailed figure, but it all balances really well. The flow from torso to legs is impeccable, especially when you consider the legs come from the comic book Ultron figure from January 2025, so LEGO had to design a torso that is both detailed enough to be the movie, but also flow well enough into pre-existing legs. That's impressive. Equally incredible is the face print here, which blends so well into the neck piece, you'd believe it's one part. The Ultron remake figure showcases top-tier LEGO design and is easily the best figure from that movie. But now, rounding out phase 2, we have Ant-Man, and there's really only one set here to work with 3 figures: Ant-Man, Hank Pym, and Yellow Jacket, and I'm gonna go with Ant-Man here. The torso and leg design work rather well, and it's just nice to have leg printing on an Ant-Man figure. It's a bit of a bummer that having leg printing at all feels like such a delicacy within the LEGO Marvel theme, when back then it felt like it was a lot more standard practice. Either way, the Ant-Man figure I think is the best from his film, but the best in phase goes to that Ultron remake. Such an incredible figure. Moving on to phase 3, we have Captain America Civil War, and there are some good choices here, like Hawkeye in his purple suit, Bucky, the original, not the remake, Black Panther, the first MCU Spider-Man figure, the Iron Man Mark 46, the original or the remake, but my pick goes to the Spider-Man Stark Suit remake, but not the one from the Airport Battle set in 2025, the one from the Sanctum set. Why? Well, because this one has dual molded legs and leg printing. The design on the torso, arms, and head are also quite nice, but having that little bit of extra printing on the legs takes this figure up a notch that much more. It makes me wonder, why did you remake the Spider-Man Stark suit when you already had a great one and you could have removed that figure from the Civil War set to put Hawkeye in there? Either way, Stark suit remake from Sanctum set is the best from Civil War, but what about Doctor Strange? Well, we have Doctor Strange himself, Baron Mordo, the Ancient One, but my pick for best goes to Wong from the Bricktober set. I love this no-nonsense inquisitive look. The detailing on his torso and legs is really quite wonderful, as well as the bits of black printing on the legs that kind of camouflage where the dual molding line is. Next film up is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and again, the entire team is in contention, from Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Mantis, Rocket. We also have Aisha, Baby Groot, Taserface, but if you're an older fan of the channel, you know my pick here. It's Yondu. In my opinion, one of the best translations of an actor or character's face into Lego form ever. That smile is perfect, those eyes are perfect, the entire face is perfect, it looks just like Yondu. The rest of the figure is also quite nice, but that face is top tier design. Add to that a nice red fin and you have easily the best figure from Guardians Volume 2. But what about Spider-Man Homecoming? Well, the Shocker is an okay figure, the Iron Man Mark 47 is quite well done, the Spider-Man suits including all the remakes you could put here, but I'm going to try to avoid having the same figure as the best for multiple properties if I can. And here, I can, because the best figure in my opinion is the Vulture remake. Not only is the build rather intimidating and impressive while still being rather lightweight, the bomber jacket looks fantastic, the flight helmet is a great choice, those piercing green eyes on the head are really well handled, and even though there are blank legs, I think it's balanced out by detail across the entire figure that the design works well as a whole. So while not every figure needs leg printing, you have to use leg printing correctly. And on this Vulture remake, I think it works. Next up is Thor Ragnarok, and there are some fantastic figures here like Hela, Korg, Meek, Blue Loki, Gladiator Thor, but my pick for best in movie goes to what I believe is one of the best big figs Lego has ever made, Gladiator Hulk. This thing is so incredibly done, from all the custom molded elements to the helmet, the shoulder armor, the printing, the facial expression, the weapons, it all works flawlessly together and makes for a really imposing big fig, one that I don't think Lego will really ever be able to top for quite some time. Lego Marvel must have had a bigger budget back then because the amount of one-off parts that go into this big fig really pays off. And part of that design excellence could be attributed to the fact that at this point, we were in what most were considering peak MCU with Thor Ragnarok and then its immediate successor, Black Panther. And there are some solid figures here like T'Challa, Killmonger, Claw, Nakia, Okoye, as well as figures from later waves like M'Baku, and my pick for the best of Black Panther, Shuri in her war paint. And while this figure was released in an Endgame set, Shuri does wear this outfit in Black Panther, so it counts. The Wakandan torso design is very well handled, the bits of war paint on the face are immaculate, the hair looks nice, the overall figure design is very well rendered and looks exactly like Shuri from Black Panther. And now we have the big one, Avengers Infinity War. There are almost too many figures to choose from here. We have the Iron Man Mark 50, the original or the remake, any of the Black Order, Corvus Glaive, Proxima Midnight, Cull Obsidian, Ebony Maw, and the Ebony Maw remake. We also have the Teen Groot figure, Black Widow, Captain America, aka Nomad. Really, the only figure I can't put in contention for the best of Infinity War is Thanos himself, but for good reason. None of the Infinity War figures or even Endgame figures match the costume of Thanos from this movie. Most of them have the helmet on or have armor, whereas in the movie, Thanos really only wears his tank top, having his armor on only for the first scene of the movie. Don't get me wrong, there are some great Thanos big figs, and we'll get to one in a little bit, but for Infinity War, I have to knock him out of contention because the costumes don't match. So what is the best figure from Infinity War then? I think it's Gamora in her brown jacket. This was a one-off figure with an exclusive torso and legs, and I think they look really fantastic. All the layering from the white shirt, the black vest, the brown jacket all work rather well, and the flow from the torso to legs is fantastic. Add to that the face and hair from the Guardians 2 figure, and you have a Gamora figure that beautifully encapsulates her Infinity War look. Moving on to Ant-Man and the Wasp, and, well, Ghost? No. Ant-Man? Maybe. Wasp? Not quite. So, what's the best? I think it's the Wasp remake figure from the Avengers Tower set. The use of the thin plastic, almost vinyl wings is perfect here, and the newer helmet style I think works rather well for the Pym family. Add to that a great torso and you have the best figure from Ant-Man and the Wasp. But what about Captain Marvel? Well, again, not many options. Young Nick Fury? No. The Skrull? No. So, kind of by default, it has to be Captain Marvel, and the figure is not bad per se. The torso does look nice, but that's really the only exclusive element here. The face, hair, and legs are all kind of boring, so Captain Marvel is the best of that movie, but, you know, default. But what about Avengers Endgame? And spoiler alert, this is where I'm putting Thanos. Yeah, the Mark 85 suit or Rescue are good. The Quantum suits, while I like the design, are not the best in that movie. But Thanos with his smile is perfect. I love the fact we finally get a bald Thanos that smiling. One of the key elements of his character is that in Endgame, he is gleeful to be villainous. He's gleeful to destroy the entire world. He's not on some holy mission like Infinity War. He's just straight up bad, and he's happy about it. This figure, I think, captures that with his gleeful evil smile and nice armor printing. And finishing off the movies in the Infinity Saga, it's Spider-Man Far From Home. And while we do have the half-masked Spidey, and Ned, and MJ, and Happy Hogan, which those figures range from good to Happy Hogan, the best figure I think is the Mysterio remake. While the original was more so based on concept art, the new one is picturesque, with a great balance of line work, gold, green, pink. Everything works so well here and makes for a rather compelling Mysterio figure. Add to that some nice leg printing and a great blue color underneath the helmet, and you're left with a fantastic Mysterio figure that builds upon what worked well in the original, but doing it just a little bit better. As for best in phase, I'm giving it to Yondu. It's so incredible to see a figure that perfectly captures the facial expression and character of a character. Now, that's all the movies in the Infinity Saga, but there are a few more projects we need to look at for the sake of completeness. What about the Marvel one-shots? Well, starting off with the Consultant, our options here are limited, and we kind of have to go with Agent Coulson by default. Same goes for a funny thing happened on the way to Thor's hammer. Again, has to be Coulson. For item 47, we are really restricted here, and we have to go with a Chitauri figure. However, I do want to point out it is fantastic that back in 2012, we have a henchman figure with face printing, torso printing, and leg printing. That's oddly incredible, and it showcases once again how dedicated LEGO was to the Marvel brand back in 2012. For the one-shot Agent Carter, I kind of have to cheat and go with Captain America in his World War II outfit because the character does appear in archival footage at the start of the short. And unless we one day get a 616 Agent Carter or Howard Stark figure, we have to go with Captain America here. As for All Hail the King, I'm picking the sleeveless Mandarin as it's close enough to Trevor Slattery's appearance in this short. And thankfully for the last two one-shots, I don't have to cheat. Team Thor, for example, I can simply pick Thor. I'll go with the version from Age of Ultron. And for Team Daryl, I can pick the Grandmaster figure with, let's be honest, a really great face print here. Although LEGO, if you do want to make a Daryl figure, I would not complain. The only other project we could consider here is the TV show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which technically exists within the MCU, although there's kind of been some continuity errors with the Darkhold and Hydra, but I'll pick Agent Coulson just for the sake of ease here, as it's a great figure and a really great character. As for the best figure in the entire Infinity Saga, as of now, it's the Iron Man Mark 6 damage suit. I cannot say enough good things about this minifigure, although I always hope that LEGO can outdo themselves with newer and better figures. But those are my picks for the best minifigures from each of the MCU properties in the Infinity Saga. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and of course, big thank you to all of my channel members for supporting my work and making these videos possible. And as always, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.